I think I am going to take us, let's see, we've gone to Cyber Command, we've gone to the FBI. I think now we're going to go to Kiev. So I'm very happy to welcome Colonel Ivan Kalabashkin. He is the acting deputy head of the Cybersecurity Department at the Security Service of Ukraine. Colonel, thank you. Thank you for being here.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be with you on this meeting, and for the opportunity to share with you the current situation on the cyber front in our country. So if you don't mind, I would like just very quick a few words about our agency, about our department. So the Security Service of Ukraine is the main governmental body, the main law enforcement agency responsible for counterintelligence, counterterrorism, and countering transnational organized crime. In our cybersecurity department, we are responsible for all those activities, and we are also responsible for preventing, countering, and neutralizing strategic threats to national cybersecurity and objects of critical infrastructure, including, of course, IT infrastructure. So that was just a quick introduction of our agency, and I'm open to questions.
Thank you so much. I very much appreciate that. I think we should start with just what is the situation like today in Kiev? The Cypher Brief was reporting from there a month ago, and it, first of all, it is a beautiful city, which I think people wouldn't necessarily know who haven't been there when you think about a city under wartime sort of conditions. But how is the situation in Kiev today?
So the situation in Kiev is not so dangerous as it is on the eastern part of Ukraine and on the southern part of Ukraine. We do have some air alerts going on when we have a threat of missile attack. But apart from this, the situation is smooth here. Speaking about the situation on other part, or the situation in other cities, of course, it is especially for speaking about eastern and southern cities of Ukraine. Of course, you can understand that the full-scale war is taking place, and every day, almost every hour, the cities are being attacked by missiles or just artillery shelling.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you, we understand that last year, as this war started, there were more than 4,500 cyber attacks and sort of what you would describe as critical cyber incidents. I really would love to hear how this year is going so far when it comes to cyber attacks, particularly being launched by Russia.
To begin with, I think I would like to say that the cyber aggression started not last year. The cyber aggression started in 2014, when the Russian Federation, with the annexation of the Russian Federation, our Crimean Peninsula. But as you've already mentioned, last year we have witnessed 4,500 cyber attacks and critical cybersecurity incidents, and this was 3 times more than in the year of 2021, when we dealt with the 1,400 cyber attacks and critical cybersecurity incidents. In 2020, only 800. This year, so we are today speaking about the 3-month period, and we have already dealt with about 1,000, almost 1,200 cyber attacks and critical cybersecurity incidents. Apart from this very important thing that we are also dealing with the Russian special psychological operations that are, if we get down a little bit to our very important issue regarding informational security, we have to say that their propaganda, their psyops are accompanied by cyber attacks. I mean, defacement of websites, getting control of other resources, etc. We deal with the 1,000 psychological operations of Russia, 1,000 per month.
Wow, 1,000 per month.
Almost 1,000. So all these propaganda campaigns, they are targeted at undermining the authority of the political leadership, of the military leadership. They are also targeted at intimidating the Ukrainian population. All these things about people are tired of war and such like issues. So as you've mentioned at the beginning of our webinar, that unfortunately, Russian propaganda works good, I must admit. So, but we have to counter it, and we do it.
Yeah, I would imagine, and I myself am not a cyber expert, but I would imagine, given how good they are at these disinformation campaigns, sort of using social media to sow fatigue about the war is something they'll be not only doing in Ukraine, but they would likely be doing a lot more of in the United States as well as the election comes up. That's something that we're very focused on. Let me ask you, initially, we were really seeing a huge bombardment of attacks launched against critical infrastructure within Ukraine. Are you still seeing the same level of attacks associated or targeting Ukraine's critical infrastructure?
Honestly speaking, that is what I was just going to say. So first of all, the trickiest thing is that all cyber attacks are accompanied by kinetic confrontations. And it all started on the 10th of October 2022, when we had an unprecedented number of missile strikes. Yes. And the number, they are still trying to strike us with the missiles, and all these missiles attacks are every day accompanied with the cyber attacks. So just a very, very quick example. A couple of weeks ago, we had a reported critical cybersecurity incident on our power plant, which is not far from Kiev, from the capital city of Ukraine. Our team of responders went to that location, and when they were responding, when they were trying to get the data, to collect the data, and responding to that incident, a missile attack took place, and the debris fall just 300 feet of that power plant. So you can understand how difficult it is, how challenging it is to respond to when Russians are trying to attack in cyber domain and simultaneously attack kinetically on the battlefield. I mean, striking our cities.
I remember October 10th well, because we were actually in the middle of the CyberBrave's threat conference, and we were joined by Andrei Yermak from the president's office, President Zelensky's office, from a bunker because this was something that was just so impactful on the capital city. Are you, I'm very interested to know how you're working with partners to strengthen Ukraine's cyber resistance. You can never stop the attacks from coming, but you can be more resilient. How are the partnerships working with both other governments, other government bodies, and private sector companies?
It is one of the most important and sufficient spheres of our everyday activity. So we are in constant cooperation with our law enforcement overseas. Having this opportunity, of course, I would like to express our gratitude to the FBI. Those are the real guys who not only help us and share information with us, but we will also have some joint investigations, some joint operations. We also had a possibility to get some special training. We are extremely grateful, and I'm speaking on behalf of all the security service and on behalf of all defense forces of our country. We're extremely grateful to US Cyber Command because they also helped us, they assisted us greatly, especially during the early beginning of the full-scale war. We don't like to speak about the consequences, but if they didn't help us, then the consequences would be really dramatic. Sorry. Speaking about private sector, it's a great assistance, a great help from US private sector companies. We communicate with lots of companies, Recorded Future, Mandiant, Cisco, and a lot of other companies. I don't want somebody to think that some are more important, others less, but we do really understand that since cyber has no borders, we can't sit here and be responsible only for this particular territory or this particular sphere. We have to cooperate with all entities from the civilized world. So that is the main thing. We are speaking about only civilized world. And of course, we had already gained great expertise, and again, thanks to the partners, to their support, we were ready to share this expertise when the war is won and when Russians are beaten. Of course, we will all gather together and share this expertise and some interesting methods and techniques.
I was going to say, I can imagine that that is something that the whole world will be anxious to hear lessons learned from this. Let me ask you, have you seen, understanding that really Ukraine began coming under pretty significant cyber attacks from Russia in 2014 with the annexation of Crimea, but just in this past year, have you seen a change in the tactics, the techniques, the procedures that Russia is using to attack Ukraine as the war has drawn out, as Russia has depleted forces, as it has looked for ammunition, as both sides have done recently? Have you seen a change in the tactics?
Sure, we have. It all started as mostly opportunistic attacks. So they were trying to attack, and they're trying to they were trying to destruct as many our critical infrastructure as possible. Now we do understand that they moved a little bit to another approach. It is intelligence-based, intelligence-targeted approach. So they are trying to collect intelligence about our political leadership. I mean, how decisions are made and such like things. Very important issue is their very important priority is our military command and situational awareness system. The Ukrainian armed forces are currently using several unique designs that made it possible to automate the process of information obtaining, sharing, and decision making. By saying this, I mean that it is right now, it is a very quick process of decision making and implementation of this decision almost on every command level, which is very useful in terms of full-scale war. Very important in the conditions of full-scale war. Russians are very much interested in these issues, and they are trying to attack in this direction. Another very important thing they are trying to get the information about is international cooperation and assistance in the field of defense. As you probably understand that thanks to our partners, thanks to the whole civilized world, we finally have this good armory, a lot of ammunition, and Russians are always trying to get the information about how it comes here and what it is all about.
Yeah, it's understandable. I think that a lot of the other governments, the organizations that are assisting Ukraine, the private sector companies that are assisting Ukraine, would very much be interested in knowing what it is in terms of assistance from the cyber front that you need most right now. Are there things that would be most helpful for you?
So first of all, I think it should be said that right now in Ukraine, we're dealing with the state-sponsored cyber terrorism. They are not smart youngsters sitting somewhere at their basement of their house and trying to earn easy money, to get to earn money. So these are state-sponsored GRU and FSB APT groups, and they are real top professionals. And as it has already been said here, that Russia has still a very important resource for the whole world. I mean, we're speaking about oil. And of course, they have a lot of money, so they can afford to work with these groups. But international cooperation is really important, and we need, and fortunately we have very good training from our partners. Still, we need some extra training, just because having this training, we can deter our enemy on a very good level. We also need some special software to protect our networks, just because, as I've already mentioned, they are trying to, Russians are always trying to attack our power plant networks, and it is very important for us. We need some cloud-based services just to store data in a safer place. I think that is honestly speaking, I can speak a lot about what we need, just because there is also some special equipment, like, for example, forensic equipment. But every help we get will drastically increase our defensive and offensive potential. So we are getting from tactic to strategic level, and we want to move from responding to preventing. It is much better to prevent than to respond. So in this respect, of course, we need some special software and equipment, not to work with circumstances, but to prevent them from happening.
Yeah, there's been a lot of reporting, particularly in the United States media, that Ukraine is planning its own offensive. A month ago, everyone was focused on Russia's new offensive around the 1-year mark of their invasion. Now they're talking about a spring Ukrainian offensive. I wonder if you think of this war in terms of offensives, whether they be kinetic or whether they be cyber related. How are you thinking about that?
You know, we are facing every day a great number of cyber attacks or critical cybersecurity incidents. That is why it is it won't be so dramatic, just because every day and I've told you at the beginning of our discussion that we have already dealt with almost 1,200 cyber attacks just during these 3 months.
Yeah.
So very important issue. I just recollected that conventional warfare and cyber warfare are integrated things, and as I've already mentioned, that the trickiest things that Russians are trying to attack simultaneously on the battlefield, and they are trying to execute cyber attack and combine them with kinetic confrontation. So that is the point. We will struggle, and they will try to attack.
Yeah, I would really like to thank you for taking the time. I know it's late in Kiev, taking the time to join us to have this conversation. Are there any closing thoughts that you would like to leave us with tonight, Wartime?
Honestly speaking, I would like once again to express the gratitude of our agency, the gratitude of Ukrainian people to the US people, to the governmental bodies of the United States, to the private sector of the United States. It is very easy to say right now, just because it is not so dangerous in Kiev right now as it used to be just 1 year ago. I have been staying here since the early beginning of the full-scale invasion, and we do understand, we do remember how difficult it was to struggle with all those Russian criminals, war criminals. Thank you so much for your support, and we do believe that together we are strong. If we stay together, we will win this war, and Russians will get what they deserve. Thank you so much.
The stakes are very high. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time and sharing a lot of your insights about what's happening on the ground there in Ukraine with us today, Colonel. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Cyber Brief, because national security is everyone's business.